We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
It's time to buckle up for making sense of the madness.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and unfortunately, today's story really echoes what we talked about several days ago when covering COP30 and Tedros, the head of the WHO, speaking at the United Nations, that it doesn't seem like any of these high-level criminals, and really that's what we're talking about here, high-level global criminals are going to be held accountable in any way, shape, or form, let alone go to prison. And especially with this second run at a Trump administration, after the first administration where clearly, even before he got in, there was not only a deep state presence, but I would argue illegal and treasonous activity, both before Trump got in and then was in office. Again, doesn't make the administration perfect, but you look at Crossfire Hurricane, you look at Brennan, Comey, Clapper, all these individuals, Letitia James, John Bolton, they all seem to really have committed high-level crimes, hiding behind the executive at the time, legalese and semantics, and the control of the media narrative, quite frankly. Now, you have the 2020 election, and we can sit here and argue whether or not you feel it was stolen. Again, I think that the evidence is over the top and ample. No one going to jail in that. No criminal cases whatsoever. No reform on our system via not only the mail-in ballot stuff. You know, there's some window dressing there. But let's be honest, they're going to be happening, and the midterms are right around the corner. But the most important issue, and that is these machines. Doesn't matter who's running them. I don't care if it is Dominion with a D now or Diebold with a D then or any other privatized organization. Not seeing any change there either. And what is probably like most disappointing with this second administration is that with the pipe bomber, for instance, there is no doubt that we have been lied to by federal agencies from the beginning, and that this current administration seems to be holding water for that lie. Then you get into the 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump while he runs for office, okay? And number one, the second assassination attempt stinks to high hell. Hardly any media coverage whatsoever on that. Think if someone had gotten onto a golf course to take out Joe Biden. You can't imagine the amount of press and the amount of demonization and going over and over and over. Why did this happen? How could this happen? We barely heard any of it. But really with Thomas Crooks, what have we had? We had a denial across the board through administrations. Again, giving you this idea that, sorry, you want accountability? Not going to happen. That a person in their early 20s had no digital footprint. Anyone with half a brain immediately realized, wow, that's not real. You know what I never hear about the Crooks incident? Is number one, that Crooks was shot and disarmed by a local police officer. And we know who that person is. Let me repeat that. He shot Crooks and knocked the gun out of his hand. So you have the snipers that took Crooks out. They had him in full view, probably fully disarmed at that point, with his skull caved out on the back. That's a big question I have. Like, you would think if the person was disarmed and you could take that person alive, you would, or maybe you would have fired on that person prior to them taking a shot that could have been lethal against the president. But again, Trump doesn't seem too concerned or on top of it. And those same administrations seem totally compromised. And that's why, with the recent news that both Letitia James and James Comey's trials are going to be dropped, doesn't come as any shock. Now, the reasoning behind it is a bunch of Johnny nonsense. I don't know that it's going to hold up in higher courts, and we can sit here and argue, well, you know, this is just, you know, the process and the lawfare. No, it's showing you there's a class of people that are beyond the law. And the only time that they are held to any account is when they go up against that predator class above them. Right? Because right now we're talking about government employees, people within the bureaucracies, the agencies that we often discuss. But a lot of talk about Epstein. Where's the talk about Les Wexner? Almost non-existent. And that's just one of many examples when we discuss this. So the real question becomes, you know, how much power does the President of the United States really have? Can we ever have criminal accountability on anything that matters? Whether it be 9/11, the War of Terror, the COVID 1984 nightmare, the Epstein debacle. Can we get the fake impeachments, all of Seth Rich? Can we get any of it? And if we can't, are we already doom-sauced? I'm not a black pill guy, but Thomas Massey is out there today with a long-form interview with the individual that did the pipe bombing investigation, Baker. And he just comes right out and says that a member of Patel's staff threatened and opened an investigation on Massey and his staff to one of his members if they didn't back off. What? What? Again, if you believe that there are not multiple elements within our government, within the Department of Justice, within the Capitol Police Department, within Homeland Security, that know absolutely what happened with the pipe bomber, you're in dreamland. You are extremely naive, in my opinion. So what we're going to do here is we're going to read this formality of these cases being dropped. We are going to play a very smug Comey prior to the indictment, prior to the case getting dropped right when the indictment happened, and then now that the case has been dropped altogether, so you can really hear, you know, he was real worried about going to jail. But again, the media narrative is an out-of-control Justice Department at the whim of the Trump administration. Like, Trump can't get anything done through the Department of Injustice. They sure were able to go after his boys, though. They sure were able to put in Navarro and who's the other one that they put in there? Man, why can't I think of it? I mean, they put Papadopoulos in there, but he wasn't the one that was coming to mind. And again, I'm not saying that these guys are the greatest of guys, but it seems like those guys that were on the peripheral of the system fast-tracked into prison. The guys that we need to be held accountable so that we can reform the system into more of an accountable constitutional republic. No chance. No chance. So thumbs it up, subscribe, share, ring that bell. Check out all my documentary films for free. I want to remind everybody, I can't do it without you. I can't do it without you. I need you now more than ever. It's an uphill battle. I mean, we're 10 minutes deep in a video. We got almost 75,000 subscribers, and we got 27 people watching. You know what that means? That means we can't get like 1 out of 3,000 of our subscribers to watch the video. That's about where we're at. 1 out of 3,000. So, like I said, without you guys, without the Bermas Brigade, this just is not possible. $5, $10, $15 does mean the world to me. Also, we got the PayPal down below. Holiday season, I could use you now more than ever. MarigoldResources.com, buying or selling a business. Give them a look. Want to thank them for their support of the broadcast. Then we got rcreader.com, River City Reader. This is a in the Quad Cities publication that is actually in print, believe it or not, and a great independent organization at that. Give me a follow over on X for all the raw stories, a lot of which that I don't necessarily get to go over, or some great throwbacks like my recent G. Edward Griffin interview that's probably about 6 months old. More relevant than ever, right? And, of course, when we first commented on this story, that's why you want to follow over on X. So, judge dismisses criminal charges against Comey and Letitia James. Now, before we get there briefly, I do want to mention that just a few days ago, the Department of Justice says, hey, maybe we got some more charges for John Bolton. Well, after this debacle, does anybody think that Bolton is going to jail? I mean, give me a break. I can't imagine it. Oh, sorry, we're going to go here. So let's read this right here. A United States federal judge has thrown out the criminal charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James and James Comey, the former head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. On Monday, District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry determined that the prosecutor overseeing the two cases, Lindsay Halligan, had been illegally appointed, which in turn rendered the indictments void. All actions flowing through Miss Hannigan's defective appointment include the indictments against Comey and James were unlawful exercises of the executive power and are hereby set aside. Now, I want to ask people, again, this doesn't have to be, a Trump love fest. But remember, that guy was convicted of 34 felonies in New York, and they never sentenced him. And those 34 felonies were pure Johnny nonsense, over-the-top Johnny nonsense. When you are seeing these type of things, you are seeing the manipulation of the judicial system on another level, really to protect the corruption inherently in all of these systems. You understand? The decision is a major setback for the administration of President Donald Trump, who personally petitioned for criminal charges against James and Comey, and rightfully so. On his social media platform, Comey praised the decision from the court. And we're going to play that. First of all, let's just play him prior. Because again, didn't look to me when they brought the indictment, he was so worried that he was going to go to prison. And then we're going to play his response.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump. But we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees. And you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant. And she's right. But I'm not afraid. And I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Well, apparently we're not going to have a trial. And you live in fear of standing up to Donald Trump. Now, on the other side of that, I really hope that people realize that what you see is what you get. There is no 5D chess. That's a whole lot of Johnny nonsense. And 5 times August, he had this post. I think it's a great one. There's Trump laughing it up with some big pharma on the top. little Kennedy in the back. Everything's hilarious. And then some Zucker nuts right here. There's Billy Boy Gates, and there's Mom Donnie. And Flynn rightfully says right here, there is no 5G chess being played. Everyone needs to understand that. What you see is what you get. And guess what? What you're getting now is a smug James Comey who basically feels like he's walking on sunshine.
And keep the faith. I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. And my family and friends were always with me, and luckily for me, include some of those great lawyers. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies.
I mean, the irony of him saying things like that, it's been used to target political enemies of the president. I mean, the Obama administration, the Bush administration, give me a break. It's so hard to watch these things. And this guy's saying these things with a straight face. And that's what is so disheartening. Because once again, guys, it shows you, is the needle really going to move? I don't see the needle moving. I don't see the deep state going down. If you can't even bring a guy, you can't even present the evidence against a Comey. And this is why someone has to step into that executive and say, Donnie T, you're obviously not going to win in court. How about mass declassifications? How about massive disclosures to the American public about the things that have been going on behind the scenes? Let's not keep them buried. Let's not have Patel, chirp on with the associated narratives that have been around for decades via the FBI. Remember, he was a big man. He's going to come in. He's going to take the FBI building down. He's going to move it right out of Washington, turn it into a museum. By the way, I want to thank Flick Off for the super chat here. By the way, if you want to support the broadcast, it's another way to do it. He says, just finished the latest Piers Morgan circus. Wish it was in an octagon. Jake Shields would have had a lot more speaking time. Didn't realize that Shields was on with Piers Morgan, but I've never been a real fan of Piers Morgan. And even though he's trying to be more and more contrarian, he is still extremely pompous and, full of jackassery, in my opinion. But hey, let's let Comey keep talking, because Comey, he's letting us all know, Donnie T evil.
I don't care what your politics are. You have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude's going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant. When I was a kid, my parents would wake us up for school every morning by snapping open the shades and saying, "Time to rise and shine and show the world what you're made of." Well, it's that time, America. It's time to stand up and show the fools who would frighten us, who would divide us, that we're made of stronger stuff, that we believe in the rule of law, that we believe in the importance of doing things by the law. So stand tall, shine, and keep the faith.
If any of that were true, people like Comey and many others would actually be in prison. If we actually could have accountability, if there was actually justice within the system. The system's pretty damn busted up, folks. And the clock is ticking. If you think that Trump's going to pull some Hail Mary now, I got news for you. The first year's almost over. Going to be over in the blink of an eye. And he's not doing himself any favors attacking people like Thomas Massey, who's the best you got. Attacking people like Rand Paul, best you got. Driving people like MTG, who I came around on, who fell for so much of the Trump hopium, fell for the QAnon nonsense. But you know what? I saw Laura Loomer. She was the one apparently that resurfaced that clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene, etc. I got news for everybody. I believe there's video of Laura Loomer telling James Comey that he's going to prison. Still think that, Laura? You still think that? I think it's pretty naive to think that. Folks, you know the drill. I need your support now more than ever. Again, I'm not giving you hopium. I said, I like the indictments. I like the indictment against Bolden. It's great for the narrative. It's great to move the Overton window and get people to take a look. But if any of us are doing our independent research, let's be honest, we're disgusted and sickened that there is a class of people like Comey that just are not going to prison. And if they're not going to prison, we're not reforming those agencies. And all those agencies hide behind national security. They hide behind the classification system, and they treat us like children on the major issues. So please consider supporting the broadcast. $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Big donors. Need you now more than ever. It is just around the corner, not only to Christmas, but we're about to have that Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has plans with their family for a feast. And as always, it is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. Chris, thank you so much. He says, happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for all the great work you do, Jason. Thank you. I absolutely love you, Chris, and everybody else out there in the Bermas Brigade. And we will see you all on the flip side.